Hey everybody, what is going on? Serial Overdrive here and watch this. That's right, we've got community servers for the console edition of Rust. Specifically, these would be community servers on the staging branch for the console edition of Rust, but we're almost there. We've got something that looks like community servers. They're testing them out, which means community servers are going to be coming to Rust, or the console edition of Rust, very soon. What we're going to be doing today is analyzing these servers, going over what this means as far as player numbers, as far as server options, and everything like that. And then we're going to dive into pricing because we have a pretty good idea of where price structure is going to land, or where the price structure is going to land. Let's get into it. Let's go over the options that we've got here. You've got 2x servers, you've got 3x servers, you've got Builder's Paradise, and then you've got Target Practice. That's all we're looking at right now. So as far as these servers go, there's a few interesting things that you can sort of glean from them. So first off, you can see that you've got player counts of 100 on all of the 3x and 2x servers. When it comes to Builder's Paradise or Target Practice, you can see that we've got player counts of 50. And then when it comes to the size of these maps, you've got a 1.5 kilometer map for Target Practice. You've got a 3 kilometer map for Builder's Paradise. And then for all the other 1x, 2x, and 3x servers, you have the classic 3 kilometer map. So the reason that this is important is because these are likely the maximums that you're going to see. This is a stress test of these servers to see just how they hold up. And what that means is these servers are probably at the max. Like you don't need to stress test a server that has 20 people on it if your stress test of the server with 100 people worked. That's just not something that you generally do in programming and just in testing. So yeah, these are probably the maximum sizes that we're going to see as far as map size goes and as far as player count goes. Now, one thing that's interesting here is if we go to the community servers, we can see what regions these servers will likely be in, or at least 2 regions that these servers will likely be in. So first off, you've got the gPortal EU servers and the gPortal US servers. Also, at this point, I'm just going to jump into some gameplay from one of these servers because I don't think you want to just look at the community server screen. Unless, I mean, we've been waiting 2 years. Maybe you just want to stand here, look at this, and play with your PP. I don't know, but this isn't the video for that. I mean, I can't stop you, but it's not the video for it. Anyways, well, let's go into some specifics. So gPortal already does have servers hosted for a variety of games. You can see these games range from everything from Ark to Minecraft to something like Valheim. So yeah, there's a few different options as far as hosting goes already. And if we go into Ark, we're probably going to see sort of where pricing is going to land for these servers. Now, one thing is, even though we only see the US and the EU server, if you do go to gPortal, you'll see that they've got servers all over the world. Not just in the US in one location, and not just in the EU in one location. In fact, if you look at it, you've got servers in the US, you've got an option of Washington, D.C., LA, Dallas, or New York. In Australia, you've got an option of Sydney. In China, you've got Taipei. In Brazil, you've got Sao Paulo. Japan, you've got Tokyo. Europe, you've got Frankfurt. And England, you've got London. So this is actually pretty good. This is a good spacing out of servers, in my opinion. It's a little weak when it comes to the Asian side of things. I'd like to see some servers maybe in Singapore or something like that. When it comes to South America, it might be good to see some servers somewhere sort of in between South America, and it would be good to see some servers in Central America. And Africa is just completely lacking here, which blows me away because you'd think that there'd be at least some money in some of these countries in Africa, like South Africa, for instance. So now let's jump into cost, because honestly, that is probably the most important aspect that is still up in the air. If these servers are cheap, people are going to buy them. If they're expensive, people aren't going to buy them. That's just how it's going to work. People have money, or they, yeah. So now let's get into server cost, because that is where this game is. So now let's get into server cost, because I've got some worries here, and honestly, this is where community servers are going to be made or broken. So first off, when we go into Ark, this is what we're going to be using, those costs sort of to talk about the pricing, because we don't have official pricing for Rust. But if I looked at some of the other servers, sort of V-Rising, Valheim, Minecraft, it seems like these prices are pretty standard. There's going to be some differences. So for instance, if you jump between server locations, a server in some locations costs less than a server in other locations. Australia, for whatever reason, seems to be just a little bit less. Brazil is a little bit more by quite a bit. Somewhere like Tokyo is a little bit more than the US, but not as bad as Brazil. And if you go to Frankfurt, you're a little bit less than it would cost you in the US as far as just generic server costs go. I don't know what's going on with Brazil. I feel like there might be a calculation error there, because like Brazil is like triple the price, which man, if that is true, I am. That feels really bad in my opinion. Anyways, let's get into cost because that's what you care about. So, first things first, we're not going to run with Brazil because 10 players cost $35 if you're going with Brazil numbers. Now, if you're going with US numbers, we're going to be hosting in Washington, D.C., let's say, for ARK. 10 players is going to cost you $14 a month. These are US dollars, not Bangaroo bucks or whatever you want to call it, or Canadian. I don't have a funny name for Canadian. Anyways, if you go up to 30 players, that's going to be costing you $26.75. If you go up to a 50-player server, that's going to be costing you roughly $38. That's $38 for 50 people to be on the same server together at the same time. If you go up to 100, that's going to cost you over $60, probably like $62. And these would be based on ARK numbers, but ARK is sort of similar as far as Rust goes. I think these numbers are going to stand. So if you're looking to have a 100 population server, that is going to be costing you $60 a month. Now, you can get discounts if you go for longer than 30 days. So if you go for 90 days, you're going to get 10% discount. And if you go for a year, you're going to get a 20% discount, which isn't too bad. So it's going to be less. But for 360 days of a server with 100 people on it, even with the discount, you're paying about $600. Yeah, let that sink in. $600 if you want a full population Rust server. That is a lot of money. I know some of you are probably saying that's not that unreasonable when you look at PC and things like that. But with PC, there's a lot more customization built in because that's just how PC works. In addition to that, on the PC, there's ways for these server hosts to make money. And on console, from what I've heard, from all the rumors, from all the people I've talked to, those ways aren't going to be there. You can have a Patreon, you can have a few different things like that, but are you going to be able to make $600 a year? I don't know. I don't think so. It feels like these costs are insane to me. Like 100 players, $600. We've waited 2.5 years for these servers. That's ridiculous. Even if you want to host just 10 players, you're going to be paying about $140 a year. If these prices are true. Now, it's possible that G-Portal made some deal with the console edition Rust and they're going to be a lot cheaper, but I sort of doubt it. But $130 if you want to host it just for you and your buddies, 10 people. And honestly, like, if you've got a 10-person Rust server, how often is that server going to be super active? How often are you going to have 10 people filling it? You're probably going to have like 10, 20 people who regularly play, but that's going to be it. And it seems like there's no option to go below 10. So those of you who are looking for a server that you can just run with 1 or 2 friends, somewhere where you can just sort of relax and have a more of a builder's paradise experience, but still be able to run monuments, I don't think that's even an option. I think 10 is the minimum. So minimum for 30 days, you're going to be paying $14. That doesn't sound that ridiculous. That's like a Netflix subscription, but it does add up over time. Now, look, you could buy a 3-day server, and that's going to be only $4.20, which numbers. But it feels a little bit wrong to me. Like $14 a month, I can get with. Okay, it does add up. That's going to be a lot for a year. But when you're talking about $600 a year for 100 people, that is something. If you're hitting those numbers, you really need a way that you can make money. And I know a lot of people like Serial Overdrive. What about you? Like, you can do it through YouTube. Even with YouTube, you're really diving into, like, you're cutting severely into the amount of money that I make. Like, if you take all the Rust console content that I make, the time I take to make it, you assume that that's free time, like no value whatsoever there, which I'm fine with because I enjoy doing this, honestly. Like, if I was making nothing, I'd still do it, right? Like, that's fine. Throw that out. I'm gonna be making a little bit of money still, but I'm not gonna be making that much. And people are like, Serial, what about advertising, everything like that? But like, here's the thing: when you put in, if you want good moderators, that's gonna cost you money. If you want like a really good community, it's gonna cost you money to set up things like Discord, everything like that. There's a lot of time that goes into it. If you put in all of that work, pay out all that money, you're probably spending, I guess, $1,000 a year. Okay, which that's not ridiculous. If you've seen my YouTube numbers, like I've posted them, I've posted how much I make. Like $1,000 as far as Rust content goes and what I'm making right now, that might be like 3 to 6 months worth of revenue for this YouTube channel. As far as Rust console content goes, right? Like, I'm not counting the Cyberpunk content. I'm not counting the Starfield content. I'm not counting any of that because then those numbers would be a lot higher, right? Like, then it might be like, I don't know, you might be able to say that it's like a month's worth of work that you're putting in and losing to host Rust console servers. But still, that's a significant amount of money. So if you're looking at someone who's going to do this long term, who wants to create a community around these servers, they really need some way that they can charge players. And I really don't think that that's going to be available to them. So I've talked about this, and it seems like the console edition Rust D11, they're not against server owners having a Patreon. They're not against server owners pushing to a YouTube site or anything like that. But if you know anything about the PC version of Rust, there's items that you can buy. There's skins that you can buy on that server specifically and everything like that. It doesn't sound like the console edition Rust is going to have that. You can't go onto a Rust console server. So to make it clear, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to go on a community server, pay $5 a month on that server, and then you'll have access to all the skins out there, or you'll be able to have access to custom server skins. It doesn't seem like that's a possibility. D11's not willing to cut into that revenue, and I don't blame them for that. In addition to that, it doesn't look like there's going to be anything where it's like you can pay $5 and get an advantage over players. There are going to be things like password locks on servers. We know that already. So there are avenues that they could pursue there. So for instance, they could do something like, hey, if you want to play on this server, pay $5, you get access the first week of Wipe, and then it opens up to everybody. But a server like that, it's going to be very hard to maintain, very hard to run. People are going to give passwords away. It's going to be a complete shit show, to be honest. And again, you're going to need good moderators for that. So like, it seems like it's going to be too expensive for what they're providing, in my opinion. And this is all based on just these figures that I've got here, but I'm glad that they're coming out with community servers, but to me it feels like it's too little, too late, too much. You know, the servers are coming out too late, and if we look at these options like 2x, 3x, that's great, but where's your 10x server, right? Where's your 10x server? Where's your AKs only server? Where's the server that just is like all islands or like custom maps or anything like that? I don't see it. I don't see a custom map on this. I just, you know, these are infrastructure playtests, but honestly, it's frustrating to see that they've taken so long and it seems like we're going to be getting so little. Now, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully these servers drop and there is just a massive, massive amount of options you've got, right? But like from everyone I've talked to, it seems like community servers are going to be something that you can host using only your phone. Maybe not even your phone, but using only your Xbox or using only your PlayStation. And that's what worries me, because I don't think there's a way that you can upload custom maps on your Xbox. I don't know if they're going to have a way for players to access those. I don't know if they're going to have some sort of like map pool that people can pull from. Maybe there will be some cool maps that have been approved and you can use them. But from just running through these servers, I'm not seeing anything that makes me think cool map. The map size is standard. The player count standard. The only cool option you've got is Builder's Paradise and Target Practice. And who's going to cover the bill for that, right? Like, I don't know, maybe Jade Monkey or maybe Obi's going to do it, but it's not going to be Serial Overdrive. You're not going to see me hosting, I don't know, $200-$300 worth of servers every month just so that people can, like, unless there's some way that I can make money off of it, it just wouldn't make sense for me, because I'd literally just be draining money out of my bank account to help keep the console edition of Rust afloat. And people are like, well, Serial, then you get money through YouTube. I don't make that much money. Just flat out, like, I could do one server. After that, I'm going to be losing money. Like, if I want to have, like, originally, this is what I wanted to do. When everything was popping off, I could have done it. When everything was popping off, my channel was making a good bit. Then maybe I would have been able to host 3 servers. And this is assuming that $600 price per year makes sense, okay? That's assuming we hit it. But, like, then it would have made sense to host servers, like, in all these different places, right? Like, I could have, you know, Rust, the console edition Rust was popping off, and I would have seen a real value in hosting a Builder's Paradise server, a Target Practice server, maybe doing one in the US, one in the EU, one in Australia, something like that, right? And then do some 3x, 2x servers in each one of those places and just sort of scatter it about and give the community something they can join to, see what people like, and sort of narrow it down as time goes on. Right now, I'm not in a position where I could do that. I'm not saying I don't have money or anything like that. I'm not asking for people to drop money into a Patreon or anything like that, but to do it right. Because this is the thing. I actually did put a lot of thought into this, because when they thought community servers were coming out in a month, I was getting ready. I was lining things up, right? Like, to do it right, I'd want good moderators. To get good moderators, you can get some people that will volunteer, but it's best just to pay them. It's best to give them some sort of like bump, right? And I'm not talking about the white stuff bump. I'm talking about like a money, right? Like a money bump, a bump to their bank account, not a bump to their nose. But like, you know, maybe $200, okay, $200 a month, something like that. It's not a ton of money, but it does show some appreciation for the work that they're putting in. Gives them the ability to buy some skins, maybe buy themselves a cool game. It's a way of saying thank you. And obviously, if the servers are making a lot of money, you can do more. But like, yeah, maybe you've got 2 mods per server. You know, it doesn't need to be anything crazy, right? Like you can run all these servers and have only like 4 mods, right? Or 5 mods, and they're all on Discord. But you start adding that up, you're talking about a pretty significant amount of money that you're paying just to keep all this going, and then there's no way to get it back, and the server costs are that high. I just don't see it working. I tried running, so to give you an example, I tried running a Rust console village, and that worked out for a while, but it gets aggravating, it gets tiring, it really tears you down, and that's just a village. If you're running a server, it's going to be so much worse. Just having a server randoms, like trolls come in, people want the trolls banned, the trolls want other people banned. You've got to figure out who's right, who's wrong. People are leaking DMs, they're saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Then there's someone that comes in and they just want to, like, you know, send someone to your house, right? Like that's what happens. That's what happens when you host these servers. There's going to be someone who takes it too far, and someone who's decided that they're going to threaten you, they're going to try and track you down, they're going to do all sorts of stuff like that. And I mean, it comes with the territory, I think. It shouldn't, but it does. And to undertake all of that stress, all that effort, and then have to pay $600 a year to do it, it doesn't feel right. If they dropped them early, it would make sense. But who knows? Maybe there's going to be a huge discount. In my opinion, if for 12 months you were paying something like $300 to $200, I think that'd be pretty fair. I don't think $600 is fair given the fact that the console edition Rust has lost so much steam. It's lost so much of the player base, and to bring them back, it's going to cost money. People are going to have to get the word out there. They're going to have to advertise, and they're going to have to make sure that when those players do come back, they have a really solid place for them to come back to. You can't just throw up a 100-person server and expect it to work, because you're going to get all manner of people in there. They're going to be trolling. They're going to be doing things that you don't want them to do, and you need people online 24/7 or close to 24/7 to monitor all that. So maybe there's someone that's willing to take that on, but it's not going to be me. I'm not in a position where I can do it. We'll see what the pricing is. Maybe I'll host a smaller server and just give out the password to a few like trusted people, and that can be where we play. But like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, at this point we're just talking, but like, it feels like a really good opportunity to like sort of try and push the game further. And I love the game. Like, I love Rust. I love the console edition of Rust. I think there's so much amazing stuff here. So I want to take part in that. But like, I don't know. When the prices are this high, it's hard to justify. And I know people like $60. Like, just do it, Serial. Like, just do it. But like, it's, you know, that's a significant point. Like, if I look at my YouTube, like if I look at my bank account now, but like if I look at the YouTube money that's coming in, that's a pretty significant portion of it. So I've got to really think long and hard about it. Like, I don't want to be doing Serial Overdrive and losing money to do it just so that I'm making these like Rust console community servers that might not do that good. They might not bring interest, or just, I know they're going to bring stress. That's the other thing. Like, if I had 10 servers going, my DMs are going to be lit up with people complaining. I guarantee it. Like, if you have 100 people on a server, you're just going to be getting a never-ending stream of people complaining. Because 100 people online all the time, or even once a day, let's just say it's 100 people playing on that server, there's a lot of things that are going to go wrong. Like, I tried running a village. The Rust village at its peak had a couple hundred people in it. Not at any one time, just a couple hundred people cycle through. Maybe there would be like 60, 30, or even 20 regulars. Even in those numbers, it got to be a lot. So I can't imagine what 100 people would be like. I can't imagine what 50 people would be like. Hopefully the moderation tools are good. But yeah, sorry, this video went way too long. I apologize for that. But hopefully you all get where I'm getting at. Hopefully you guys don't think I'm way off base when it comes to these prices. Maybe I'm just some sort of boomer who still wants to pay $1 for soda, but that's how I feel. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And until next time, peace.